highly embarrassing.
What was supposed to be a quick trip to the bank for Paul McCown's turned into what he calls a nightmare, all because he tried to cash his paycheck.
I got a new job. I worked there for about 3 weeks.
It was the first check from the new job. McCown says he went to this Huntington branch on Biddulph Avenue in Brooklyn on December 1st to cash it.
She says you need 2 forms of ID. I said, okay, because I'm not a client at Huntington.
McCown says he provided both his license and social security card. He also gave his fingerprint, which is bank policy. Then he says multiple tellers started challenging the transaction.
They tried to call my employer numerous of times. He never picked up the phone.
The paycheck for roughly $1,000 was handed back to McCown's. Tellers said they wouldn't cash it, so he left.
I get in my truck, and of course, the squad car pulled in front of me. He said, get out the car.
Instead of just letting McCown's go on his way, the teller calls Brooklyn police on him.
He's trying to cash his check, and the check is fraudulent. It does not match our records.
Does he know you called 911?
No.
But the person who made that phone call, that manager, that teller, whoever made that phone call, I feel as though that they were judging.
Minutes after being handcuffed and put in the back of a cop car, police confirmed the check is real. McCown says he believes bank employees profiled him.
My employer said, yes, he works for me. He just started, and yes, my payroll company does pay him that much.
McCown says he cashed that check the next day at another Huntington location with no problems. We reached out to the bank. They tell us there's increased fraud in Brooklyn with 11 cases at this branch in just the last few months. A rep says the tellers were being hyper-vigilant. Brooklyn police tell Cleveland 19 there was no fraud with McCown's case. What response are you hoping to get from them?
I mainly want I want an apology, a sincere apology.
Huntington tells me they did reach out to McCown's, but they say he's not returning their calls. They say they should have confirmed with McCown's employers before calling police. McCown says he wants the bank to change their protocol for non-customers and hopes no one else is treated the way he says he was.
It hurts. It really hurts.
After he withdrew $200,000 of his own money. So the rapper in question here, his name is Sam Benson, goes to the bank, withdraws money from his own bank account, and that somehow alarms people at the bank, and they call the authorities. Then the authorities proceed to put a gun to his head and treat him as if he's a criminal. Now, he took out the cash because he wanted to buy himself a Mercedes. Apparently, he's a successful rapper who's doing lucrative things with music. But let me give you more details. No, it's kind of amazing because I've never heard of him, but $200,000 is no joke.
To take out, and he says you're going to see here, yeah, I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal to me.
So according to Sam Benson, who goes by the stage name Black Youngsta, he had just exited a Wells Fargo branch in the upscale community of Buckhead after withdrawing $200,000 in order to buy a new car. Here's his account of what happened. He said, I come out the bank, I see the police, I'm walking to my car, I see one of them point to my bag like him. They come bum rushing me at the car, put me on the ground, putting guns to my head. Now, a spokesperson for the Atlanta Police Department explained that they were responding to a call at the request of the bank manager before finding that no crime had been committed. And again, he told the media, look, I don't believe in showing up to the car dealership with a check. All right, I show up with cash, and I drop the cash, and I buy my car. And apparently, a black person who has hundreds of thousands of dollars is very suspicious, and cops have to immediately put a gun to his head.
Well, Anna, we finally found it. Millionaire that the establishment is against.
Yeah, it's true.
Apparently, the only way to get the powerful people in this country to turn against you if you're a millionaire is if you're a black youngster.
Just ask some questions before you put a gun to someone's head. Ask some questions like, hey, is that your money? Like, first of all, he shouldn't be profiled to begin with, right? And the bank manager is a little questionable because...
No, not a little questionable, massively questionable.
Right?
So let's break this down. First, the cops, I think, are actually the minor part of the story. What they did was wrong. They say minor even though they put a gun to the guy's head.
Right.
First of all, don't take the gun out in every case, right? So you got a guy with a bag. I got it. You want to put your hand on the gun? Even I'm not sure you need it, but it's a bank. He's got a lot of money. Okay, right? I get it. Hey, can you put that down? Can you turn around? Right? Like, can we before you take the gun and put it to somebody's head. Just calm down for a second, because you keep shooting unarmed people. So can we bring it down? They seem calm after they got him handcuffed. They're smiling. You see it in the picture,
How embarrassing is that, by the way, as someone who's innocent, who hasn't done anything wrong, and you're laying there on the ground with handcuffs on, and these cops are just hanging around laughing. Like, it's just so humiliating.
Okay, now, let's get to the main culprit here, the bank manager. Hey, dumbass, you just gave the guy $200,000. Whether it was you personally or the person you authorized. Did you authorize or did you not authorize the $200,000? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. If you didn't authorize it, call the cops right away while he's in the thing. Why did you give him the $200,000?
Right.
How did you not know that he has an account at your bank that he just withdrew his money from? What kind of I'll try to keep the cursing to a minimum, but what kind of a person says, oh, there's my client who has millions of dollars in my bank, took out $200,000. Buddy, on the other hand, he's black. So I'll panic and call the cops on my own client.
Incredible.
That's unbelievable. I mean, if a white guy in a suit comes in and asks for $200,000 and they check his account and they're like, oh, okay, well, Mr. Johnson, here you go. Are they going to call the cops on him? Why would they? Why would they? It would be inconceivable that they would do that. Okay, but this guy, he's a black youngster. Can't have it. Even though he just withdrew $200,000 in the formal way from a bank. He didn't ask he didn't give him a note. He didn't do anything. He said, here's my name. Here's my account. Can you give me my money? Call the cops. Now, you wonder why black people in this country get frustrated.
Right. I mean, I don't blame them for being frustrated.
Well, I mean, what were they told? They're told, it's okay, get rich. And if you get rich, then we're all equal.
Right.
Well, he's rich, and he ain't.
Investigators have learned the check in question was...
It is a scenario that's hard to believe. An Auburn man tries to cash a check at his own bank and winds up in jail.
And the King 5 investigators have learned the check in question was issued by the very bank that claimed it was a forgery. Linda Byron exposes a series of bank errors that left a new homeowner reeling.
I was really excited. For the first time, I actually got to buy a lawnmower and mow my lawn and everything.
Buying his own home was a big accomplishment for construction worker Ikena Njoku. He's only 28 years old. Njoku qualified for the first-time home buyer rebate on his tax return.
It was really important. I mean, I had a vehicle that I was looking on paying off.
It wasn't just any vehicle.
I had a 2001 Infiniti i30 silver. It was just like my favorite car.
Njoku signed up to have the rebate deposited directly into his Chase bank account. But when the IRS rebate arrived, there was a problem. Chase had closed his account because of overdrawn checks in the past. The bank deducted $600 to cover what he owed them and mailed him a cashier's check for the difference, $8,463.21. When Njoku came here to cash the check at the Chase branch near his home, he was in for a nasty surprise. The check had his name and address right on it and was issued by J.P. Morgan Chase. But the customer banker who handles large checks at the Auburn branch was immediately suspicious.
I was embarrassed. I mean, she asked me what I did for a living, and asked me where I got the check from. Looked at me up and down like, oh, you just bought a house in Auburn, really? It's like she didn't believe that.
The banker says the check looked fake, so she took it, along with Njoku's driver's license and credit card, and called bank support. Njoku says after about 15 minutes, he got impatient and told Chase he was leaving to do an important errand.
By the time I got back, the branch was closed.
Njoku says he called customer service and was advised to go back the next day to get his money. But when he arrived, it wasn't his money that was waiting for him.
Hey, they just threw me in jail. They called the police and said, this guy has a fraudulent check.
Auburn police arrested Njoku for forgery, a felony crime.
I was just like, whoa, you're making a mistake, You're making a big mistake. Don't take me to jail, I got work tomorrow. I can't afford to miss work.
Njoku was taken to jail on Thursday, June 24th. The next day, Chase realized its mistake. So they called and left Auburn police a voice message. But no one heard it. Njoku stayed in jail for the entire weekend. Finally, on Monday, he was released.
We weren't involved until that next morning.
Police Commander Dave Colglazer says Chase could have done a lot more to let them know they'd locked up an innocent man.
We do have a main line that comes to our front office, and so there are ways to contact people 24/7 at a police department.
For Njoku, going to jail for 5 days meant a lot more than just losing his freedom.
And I was just stressed out, just trying to figure out what's going on with my vehicle. You know, I love my vehicle.
Njoku's car was towed from the bank parking lot and his check seized as evidence.
And my car got sold in auction. It got auctioned off, and my car got sold.
Because you didn't have the money to get it out?
Because I didn't have the money to get it out. I lost my job as well.
After all of that, Njoku says he never heard a word from Chase.
They haven't even sent me a letter or apologized. It's been a year. We've been trying to contact these guys.
Finally, a Seattle attorney offered to help. Last week, Felix Luna sent Chase a scathing letter.
It's one thing to make a mistake. It's one thing to make multiple errors of judgment like Chase has made. And then once you realize that your error has caused such a harm to somebody else, to just ignore for a year, I think he deserved better.
Njoku says he's happy he bought his house, but sad his experience with Chase was so humiliating.
They treated me like I was a criminal. He's just trying to cash a Chase check.
At a Chase bank.
At a Chase bank.
Linda Byron, King 5 News.
We tried for a week to find out if Chase planned to do anything to help Njoku. Just hours before our story aired, a Chase lawyer finally made contact with Njoku's attorney. He says Chase is reviewing the case and will have some answers in a few days.